No, I don't read what I write. That's the editor's problem.
Okay.
There's my library. And
Yeah,
I have
your
a
library
friend
looks good.
visiting.
Okay, we're all going with the library thing.
I have a
Thanks.
friend visiting with
Your
me.
friend Keith?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Well, let's go ahead and kick off this wonderful session. And I really appreciate the collaboration with Bobby and also Jim Mason on putting together this series with Hyperledger around blockchain employment. And as everyone on the call should know, is really, blockchain jobs are super hot now. And there's a lot going on in the blockchain space as far as enterprise blockchain. And what we really want to do today is talk to you about, all of the great companies that are hiring, especially in the Hyperledger community. And then also we want to talk about, some of the resources that you can tap into, like training that you can get through Ledger Academy, training that you can get through Snapper or the Indian Blockchain Institute, and also, look at what other resources are out there that Hyperledger has to offer that you can tap into and really get up to speed on this great skill set. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kick it off with today's event. And this is hosted by the Denver Meetup Group. And then, of course, we're going to have, 3 more sessions here where Jim Mason's going to take the lead on the Boston Meetup for the next session. Then, of course, Bobby is going to take the lead for the Princeton Meetup on the 3rd session. And then we're going to wrap it up with a nice job fair, which is going to be on August 26th, and really have a, good wrap up to what we're doing here. So Bobby put up the team here so you can see, she's taking a good lead on this. She runs Ledger Academy, the Giving Chain, and she's also really taken a lead on setting up the BC employee website. So you can go out there and look at all the great resources and jobs. In addition to, we're trying to get some additional feeds in the website. Jim Mason, I've talked about, myself, and then Naresh Jain, and he's the co-founder of the Snapper Future Tech, and he's also a Hyperledger training partner. So, we're going to have the pleasure of really running into a session here where I have 3 great guests that I'm going to kick off with. And I've got Eddie Garcia from Accenture, and he's going to talk about all what Accenture is doing in the enterprise blockchain space, as well as some other interesting projects they have going on. We have Daniella Barbosa from Hyperledger, and she's going to be talking about all the great things that Hyperledger offers as far as what the job board is all about, and then also what Hyperledger members can post and what they are posting on the website. And then we're also going to have Kaleido, and we have Melissa from Kaleido who's going to be presenting about what they're doing in the Hyperledger space. And the great thing that Kaleido is doing now is they're starting up the Hyperledger Firefly in the Hyperledger labs. And I'd like to have her talk a little bit about, the types of jobs that they're looking for and other internship opportunities that are coming up. So at that point, I think we're going to, go on then. I'm going to turn it over to Bobby, and then she's going to go through and talk about the blockchain environment, and then also some available jobs and training opportunities. And that's going to be discussed by Naresh Jain. And then as we wrap up, then we're going to have a Q&A period where we can go in and talk about what's going on in the space and really how to engage with these great speakers that we're going to have on the panel, as well as tapping into the resources that Bobby set up on the BC Employees website. So at this point, Bobby, if you want to roll it over to the next slide, I'll kind of get into talking a little bit about our panel here, and then we'll get into the discussions. So I'm going to go ahead and first talk about Eddie. And Eddie is a skilled technology executive with Accenture, and he's been working on the blockchain team, and he's looking at blending strategic thinking and hands-on technical expertise in the blockchain space. And so he's done a lot of strategic partnerships, multi-million-dollar digital transformation programs globally for a lot of CTOs and CIOs at Fortune 500 companies. So Eddie, thanks for joining us. And then,
pleasure to be here, John.
No problem. Then we have Daniella Barbosa, and everybody on the call should know Daniella. And she really leads the global worldwide alliances for Hyperledger. And Daniella, feel free to weigh in more on that as far as your expertise. And she's also responsible really for maintaining all the great jobs that are posted with the Hyperledger website and really keeping that up to date and working with all the collaborative Hyperledger members. And then Melissa, she runs human resources for Kaleido, and they've got a number of new hires that they're looking to do in the space. And she could talk about, opportunities down in the Raleigh-Durham area, and then also things that may be available as far as internships with Kaleido. And then also she can talk a little bit about kind of the blending of, bringing some of the Ethereum platform over into the Hyperledger space. So at this point, I'm going to kick it off and just, open it up to a few questions here. And the first question I'm going to ask the panel, and Eddie, I'm going to start with you, is what is Accenture's projection look like for new hires in 2021 and even out into 2022 around what you're doing in the blockchain space?
Well, John, thanks so much for inviting me to this exciting event today. And really, I'd like to start with saying we've experienced a period of tremendous growth over the past couple of months as a result of the pandemic. And I think a lot of businesses realizing that they need to collaborate more with each other, right? That having a strong ecosystem is becoming something really important. And of course, blockchain is sort of at the center of that to enable, data sharing between different companies. In terms of our team, we're roughly around a little bit over 100 people now globally. And that's across a number of areas, blockchain being one. We also have quantum and extended reality, and that's part of our technology incubation groups at Accenture. And for the remainder of the year, we are looking at having at least 53 positions open specifically in blockchain around the world, out of which we have a good number of them in Asia and Europe, but also in the US and Canada. And those roles are spread across a number of different roles that we have that I'm happy to talk more about.
Perfect. And then Daniella, I'll go to you next, but a little bit different take on that is, since you are in touch with all the Hyperledger members and really, can see what's coming through the pipeline, what does it look like from your perspective of Hyperledger members looking for new hires this year and next?
So I think it's a combination, and certainly I'll speak on behalf of the members, because the members do come to us very often and say, we have these open positions, and they want access to the top talent first, and through the Hyperledger community they can have access to that. We have job boards, but I think overall, and I've been here at Hyperledger, it's going to go on 4 years, and I've had a LinkedIn search as well as a search for other job boards for just the term Hyperledger. To see which companies are hiring. And I continue to see more and more companies across the board, financial services, very much so, people hiring for identity specific, use cases, more and more so. And we'll talk a little bit about how we here at Hyperledger and our community help kind of educate the market and get everybody here prepared to go and do these jobs. So I think that we will continue seeing it. One of the things, John, that when you started, you said, about, people are hiring for Hyperledger, for Hyperledger projects. I actually recently had a conversation with somebody who was a certified Fabric administrator. There was an administrator, and they got a really good job doing a different protocol. And that other protocol, and it was a public, blockchain project, was looking for talent that had enterprise experience. And they knew that if somebody had already had experience with Hyperledger, that they probably had experience with enterprise use cases in blockchain. Now, I do not recommend that everybody go work for these public blockchain companies, mind you, but I think it's important to understand that the skills that people are gaining with Hyperledger, those are skills that really extend beyond just Hyperledger jobs or blockchain jobs, because it's becoming core of enterprise blockchain. And I'm sure Eduardo and Sophia would probably echo that as they work with enterprise customers as well. So I think, overall, what we're seeing is we're seeing a steady need for enterprise blockchain experiences. We are starting to see people ask for certified administrators, and with the certification program, we could talk about that a little bit later. And then we do see people hired from our community, whether it's our special interest groups or our working groups, or even these meetup committees where people show up in person. I know it was a great way to recruit talent, right? Many of the companies would go to these meetups and they would meet one another, and they would recruit the people that were working with the technology, that were working in the community, to go work for them. It's a little bit harder virtually, but I think that the work that you, John, and Bobby, and the rest of the meetup community has done has facilitated that, and we hope that soon we'll also get back in person to help with those recruiting effort. And we'll talk. I'm happy to talk a little bit about kind of how we also work with academics. We're seeing more and more academic programs have Hyperledger and enterprise blockchain or permission blockchain courses, and that just builds the talent, right? The next talent that's coming into these organizations. So yeah, more than happy to share additional things on that front.
Yeah, and I'll echo exactly what you're saying there, Danielle. Is I do a lot of work with the university system in Colorado, and definitely Hyperledger is always a part of the core curriculum for any student coming up learning blockchain. So I would say definitely the university system is very much on board with training Hyperledger. And then also the special interest groups that you mentioned are really a wealth of talent. And, when you engage with any one of the special interest groups, let's just say like you're in one with identity, you talked about identity management, that's really going to be your top talent that's actively engaged in the community and really talking about, improvements to any project that they're working on within the special interest group. So that's great advice. And I really think that, like you say, there's a lot of blockchain enterprise use cases, public or private, where they really want that Hyperledger skill set to be able to say, yeah, you understand enterprise blockchain, and we want to, have you lead our project for our enterprise, which is great. Okay, perfect. And then let's go to Melissa also. And so Melissa, maybe you can talk a little bit about what you're doing in Raleigh-Durham, and then also maybe even mention what you're looking at as far as some internships or other open positions that you're looking for.
Sure. Thank you, John. Yeah, thanks everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So yeah, Kaleido, we are located here in Raleigh, North Carolina, in downtown Raleigh. So I have a little picture of it behind me. It's actually a lot different looking. We have a lot of cranes going up, so lots of buildings being built, lots of larger organizations setting up ground here as well. So super exciting time for the area. But yeah, for us, we started out as part of Consensus, and then they have like a VC studio type model. And so the goal is you don't stay a part of Consensus forever, that you graduate. And so we graduated from Consensus last year in April of 2020. So today we're at about 25 people, and looking to double here in the next year, or even quadruple at that point. So super exciting times for us. A lot going on in the enterprise blockchain space, as you've all mentioned. And yeah, always love to, hashtag on my LinkedIn post, Hyperledger, oh, whatever it takes to get someone's attention. Yeah, but we're super excited about just the growth that's happening in the space. It's really exciting times.
Yeah, and that's perfect, Melissa. And I'll say another great thing is, I'm always excited when there's new Hyperledger projects coming online. And so Kaleido has been instrumental in Hyperledger Firefly.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to, continuing to help. And we're going to host a meetup around Firefly coming up here, just because, anytime there's a new labs project, we want to get the word out. So thanks for joining us, Melissa.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then the other one is talking about the skills for new hires. And, I know Accenture has done a lot around Hyperledger Fabric, digital twins, and CBDC implementations. So Eddie, would you like to kind of talk about kind of the core skill sets that you're looking for in these new hires that you're looking to bring on?
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. And actually, I'd like to provide a little bit of the industry context just to explain, why are we looking for, these specific skill sets, and piggyback off of what was said earlier. So there's three key areas that we're focusing on. Of course, Accenture being mostly focused in the enterprise space. So certainly the private kind of permission area of blockchain, not so much the public space. But it's really around three areas. It's digital identity, it's supply chain, and also financial infrastructure. And as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of the growth is driven post-pandemic because of the need of different businesses to collaborate with each other. I think many of us saw, what happened during the pandemic to supply chains and the disruption that the pandemic brought there, and the need really to drive, traceability and other types of use cases in that space. So that is sort of the context behind, the demand that we see in supply chain. In the digital identity space, certainly a lot of growth there. There had been a number of initiatives already going on pre-pandemic with different organizations at a global level, like the World Economic Forum and so on. But I think, as a result of the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of demand for, digital identity and these different passport solutions and credentialing and verification and so on. So that's definitely another trend there. And then when it comes to financial infrastructure, that being one of the areas that has been more mature, if you will, in terms of growth, certainly a lot of activity prior to the pandemic. And through and after the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of activity around CBDC, which is central bank digital currency, as well as other sort of core financial infrastructure use cases that are being driven in the enterprise space. So that's sort of the industry context. And then in terms of what we're looking for, we do have a number of roles open. There's some roles that are a little bit more sales and solutioning oriented. There are some roles that are more around delivery. So being on, engagements that of course are transformative in nature, and having a role there, whether it be sort of as a functional person trying to figure out what the use case is, what the requirements are, and sort of mapping the solutions to that and translating ultimately what the client wants into something that is actionable. There's also more technical roles that are also delivery oriented, in where we're looking for people with a software engineering background or a technical architecture background. And of course, preferably experience in one enterprise blockchain platform. Obviously, Hyperledger has many, so that would be preferable as well. And then we also have these what we call offering roles, which are more around the development of solutions, products, things, of course, that Accenture is doing to help differentiate ourselves in the market. So we do have a number of roles there that are focused on a specific area. Like it could be, for example, supply chain, or it could be digital identity, and it could be around developing offerings and solutions around that space. So that's a little bit of the context, and I'm happy to dive deeper into any area, John, if you'd like.
Yeah, I think definitely we're going to open this up for Q&A when we continue, Eduardo. But right now I'm going to just shift over to Daniela and just see what she thinks as far as having more of an overarching view of the Hyperledger members. And I think Eddie really focused on a lot of the things that Accenture's doing in the space. And maybe you can highlight anything that you're seeing that, you know, is in line with what Eddie was talking about, or even new things that the members are looking for as far as skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I echo Eduardo's point on I always think about how I would love to be a 20-year-old analyst at the banks right now, financial analyst. I worked at Dow Jones for 17 years, so my background is in financial services. But I think anything around tokenization, cross-border payments, anyone that has experience in financial services, if they can take some time to understand how blockchain is enabling a new way of financial services to operate, would be extremely, extremely valuable. And the same thing with identity. And if you look at the job postings that are currently on the Hyperledger job board, which is our members get to post jobs that are available, there's jobs really across the board. We see people, they're not necessarily looking for blockchain engineers sometimes, but they're looking, for example, for security development ops people, right? Because the bottom line is you don't just, hey, I have a blockchain solution and all I need is blockchain developers. That's not the case, right? These are enterprise systems. They need to integrate, they need to interoperate with other systems within enterprises and across different networks. And so people need to have some core skills around security, around testing. These things before they go into production have to be tested. If you're a QA expert, for example, and you've been doing QA testing even in financial services or in healthcare, if you know regulatory requirements in some of these industries, obviously, if you have been working in the federal sector, if you have been working in financial services once again, or healthcare, these are all telecom. These are all skills that you can take and then apply them to blockchain related projects or work. So, and usually it's myself or our team approve jobs, they have to be blockchain related jobs, but very often these are firms that need talent who understand the principles of blockchain or want to understand, but are also experts in other elements. So, one of the things I'd love for the audience to take away is, many of you are in different stages of your career. Some of you maybe are just out of college or just about to leave college or get, a master's program. Some of you have been in the enterprise space for a long, long time. There is opportunities for everyone that wants to take that leap into understanding how decentralized technologies is going to really affect cross functions. We see senior positions. We continue seeing positions right now on the Hyperledger job board. Obviously, Accenture has a link to their 80, what is it, Eduardo, 80 plus positions. 60, I don't know. There's a lot of them.
53. Well, anyway, it's a good number.
Lots of them. Yeah. But, there's a principal member of the technical staff for Oracle. Consensus is hiring project leads in project engineering and performance. So there's a lot of roles in all different skill sets that are available. And those are just the ones that our members decide to post on Hyperledger because they want access to the top talent that people can do. So, if you think about what you want to do or what skill sets you currently have that you want to apply to your future career, that's the best way to approach it. Don't try to be like, I have to start a blank slate and become a blockchain developer, because that's not what the industry is really looking for. They're looking for people who have the skill sets that can be applied to these projects.
And John, if I may, I'd like to just add to what Daniela was saying. I think another thought here is to think about what type of role do you want to have? Do you want to be in a delivery role where you are, working with a client and building something for a client? Or are you more interested in building a product or a solution that's sort of more internally facing? Or are you more interested in sales, right? I think having an understanding of, what path you want to take definitely helps, because the skill sets there's definitely some core skills like what Danielle mentioned, but there's also some additional skills depending on, what path you want to take, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Eddie. And I would say that echoes what Daniela and you are talking about is, you don't have to be a blockchain Hyperledger Fabric core developer to have a role in the blockchain space. And, having these other adjacent skills that Daniela mentioned is super helpful. And then also, there's going to be other needs for, maybe business analyst or other types of roles that are going to be critical to any company like Accenture being able to fulfill on the client needs. So it makes perfect sense to me, and I think it should make perfect sense to the audience as well. So also, Melissa, I want to get your take on, what Kaleido is looking for as far as skill set, and where do you see opportunities within the enterprise blockchain space as far as anyone joining the call today that would like a job with a great company like Kaleido?
Yes, thank you. A lot of what Daniela said, I mean, we're looking for senior engineers right now. We're still pretty small and growing. So we really need that senior skill set. And, people having Hyperledger and Fabric and those kinds of backgrounds, that's helpful, but it's not. I'm really focused on the languages that they have and their skill set. And that definitely makes it a differentiator for us. But people, there's just not a lot of folks, especially in the area, that would have those skill sets just yet, but have that strong interest in wanting to work in blockchain. So we really focus on, for the senior engineer, like Golang, Node.js, Java. And then also when I first started at Kaleido, a little over or almost 3 years ago, we had it differentiated with full stack and front end and back end. And then kind of as we've grown, we've really just more focused on having full stack engineers as well, instead of just, front end and back end. So we found that full stack works a lot better for us. But just the senior people.
Okay,
Yeah, if
great.
I can echo what Melissa was saying too, from a technical standpoint, definitely full stack engineers, definitely have all the skills, right, from what it takes to do something like this. And then of course, having experience in at least one platform definitely helps differentiate, right, when it comes to evaluating different candidates and so on. And that's from a software engineering background. Of course, there's also a strong need for technical architects as well. And just echoing what was said earlier, right? Even if you're building something, you still need to integrate it with the rest of the client's enterprise systems. So definitely having a technical architect type of background is also a nice differentiator, and also a career path all on its own. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, that's great, Eddie. Thanks for bringing that in. And Melissa, I appreciate you kind of going over some of the core programming languages that are relevant to, full stack developers in the blockchain space. So next question I'm going to have for you is around kind of the internship or mentorship type opportunities. And we may have people on the call, that are great full stack developers, or they may be, let's say, newly graduated students looking for opportunities. So maybe, Eddie, I'll start with you and just kind of talk about what Accenture offers for kind of onboarding, I'm going to say, the newly graduated students, or people that maybe have a background in software development, but not specifically in blockchain, and how they would get engaged with Accenture.
Certainly, John. And there's actually two big programs that I want to talk about today. And the good news is that when we talk about this, it's all at a global scale. So I'm not sure exactly where people are joining from today, but certainly with Accenture, there's global opportunities. So that makes it even more exciting. The first thing I want to talk about is our summer program, summer analyst program. So we do have a pretty mature, well-established program for new graduates that are looking for a summer internship. And that program is actually currently underway. And of course, it's seasonal. and again, at a global scale. So I'll post some links on the chat in case anybody's interested and they want to look at what type of roles are available. There's a variety of different paths in that summer analyst program. There's a more technical path. There's a more sort of management consulting path. There's corporate functions. I mean, there's a number of areas. And it, of course, gives people an opportunity to be involved with our team and, of course, do amazing work in the blockchain space. That's our summer analyst program. We also have what's called a Skills to Succeed program, which is part of our corporate citizenship efforts at Accenture. And this is really about giving people opportunities, for example, apprenticeship opportunities, or people who are looking to reskill, right? There's been a lot of changes in the job market as a result of the pandemic. And then, of course, as technology becomes more mature, there's a continuous shift of skills that happens. So Accenture wants to make sure that we are having an opportunity to help people gain new skills that are going to help them be competitive as the job market evolves. And how we do that is through a number of partnerships with nonprofit organizations that we work with, like, for example, Girls Who Code or America on Tech. There's a number of organizations out there that we partner with. And then through them, we have opportunities to then allow people to come in and work on projects, develop new skills, and really have that full experience that Accenture brings to the table. And I'm happy to share some links there if anybody's interested and you want to learn more about that.
Yeah, that's perfect, Eddie. And I think that is a lot of wonderful resources there. And I think that this session is really about getting people engaged. So whatever you can share via the chat and we can do a follow-up with, that'd be great. And then Daniella, you have a great perspective, both from, I know Hyperledger has had some internal internships before, and then also with the members. So maybe you can talk about both of those.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so I think from a member perspective, programs like Eduardo talked about, where they have consistent internships that they offer. We have Hyperledger Mentorship Program, and I'll post a link on there, and I'm sure Bobby and the rest of the team will post it if it's not already on the website. We have an annual mentorship or internship program that we fund, where and it's a great program because what we're trying to do is we're trying to match requirements within the project, so the Hyperledger projects themselves. So let's say somebody that is working, a maintainer and a contributor to Hyperledger Cactus, and they have a specific thing that they want to build out for Cactus. And what they do is they put together an application basically for being a mentor for a development project. This is important because it is hard to become an open source developer. There is no doubt about it. So as these people are coming in, they're out of college or just in the process of finishing up, they want to learn, how do they participate? How do they contribute to open source projects? They get a mentor. It's not just, you get a job, it's a paid mentorship, but you get a project assignment for the time period that you're a mentor. You get an assigned mentor and a mentee. And they actually create code or documentation. And Bobby, maybe you can talk a little bit about, I know that you have an internship right now or a mentorship program that you're sponsoring as a mentor. And it's really important because it's hands-on. And it's important for us, and this is the reason we fund this, is because it gets work done, right? It gets actual code. And projects, some of them that are really way out of here. So we have, this year, we have some projects around climate action. So the Climate Action Special Interest Group put together a request for for a mentorship, and they now have somebody writing code for a specific thing coming out of client. So Bobby, I'll pass it over to you because I know you've been very involved in the Hyperledger Mentorship Program to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, what you're seeing, and how folks on the line might be participating in next year's program, which will open up in the spring, I guess, in the spring of next year.
Well, thank you, Danielle, and thank you for coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, the Learning Materials Working Group is a volunteer working group that Hyperledger supports, and we meet every 2 weeks. The first goal we have is to try to educate newcomers on to how to get involved in the community and what's going on in the community. And through that, through the meetups in 2019, we did a social impact project with the Hyperledger Sawtooth blockchain to just track local charity giving models so that it was decentralized, and it was a very successful project, but it was only a proof of concept, meaning that the blockchain we spun up as soon as the project was over and the computer shut down, so did the project. So the people at Hyperledger liked the idea, and we applied it to the mentorship program. And now this summer, I have a mentee. We have teams forming. There'll be information at the end of the presentation if you want to get involved, because we're just starting. And we're going to do that giving chain project again, this time, hopefully building it out so that it will be available for disaster relief and organizations like the Red Cross or whoever may need an infrastructure for charity giving or disaster relief. So it was really beneficial. And I know the Learning Materials Working Group also started another mentorship on just mapping out learning opportunities for blockchain. So again, the special interest groups and the working groups, they look at the technology, come up with sector related great ideas, and then the Hyperledger folks support us and let us build it out. So it's a wonderful mentorship program.
Yeah, that's perfect, Bobby. And you've been involved in a lot of those great internships for a number of years now. And if you could maybe post about the giving chain in the chat, that'd be wonderful as well.
Oh, I have a slide.
Okay, great. I'll let you do the whole thing once we wrap up here. Okay, great. And then Melissa, maybe you want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Raleigh-Durham and what Kaleido's doing?
Yes, so we have internships as well. So I don't have any posted right now, but a few of the folks that we've hired for our internships, they were just people that reached out to me, and they had a very interesting background and, you know, willingness to learn blockchain and to jump in at a startup. I mean, it's a very different, you know, field than you know, one of your larger organizations. So we try to have it, you know, where they do have like a kind of a planned steps and everything. But as a startup,
Sí, mi amor,
things can
¿qué
change.
será?
Huh?
A ver, déjame ver.
Oh,
Oh, it looks like
maybe-
someone came off mute.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
No
oh.
problem. He was excited about your great
I guess so,
opportunities in
yeah.
Raleigh-Durham.
Yes, exactly. So, and you know, for us, for our internships, I mean, yeah, you jump in and you start coding and those kinds of things. You know, you really can have an impact on our team. And then usually, you know, the goal for us is really to eventually, you know, hire our interns. So now we've got, you know, a developer that's maybe been working with us over the summer, maybe 2 summers or their summer, and then, you know, into the fall, and then they graduate that fall, and then, you know, they've got their full-time job with us. So, and we also do, you know, business interns as well. So we've got just a lot of roles, you know, where we just need help on the marketing side for just, you know, in the business area for us too. So we do hire those roles. I don't typically post them just because I'm out and about in the community. You know, used to be able to do meetups in person, but now, you know, the schools have done a lot of good virtual events. And right here in Raleigh and Durham, we have, you know, NC State, Duke, UNC Chapel Hill. So we've got a lot of schools right here around us with some great computer science schools.
Yeah, and if they want to join in on Hyperledger with the Firefly project,
Yes.
that'd be another good way to engage with the Kaleido community and really, you know, get to know the people that are involved in the project.
Exactly. Yeah, we're super excited about that, as you know.
Yeah, no, and we're super excited to, you know, get the word out about it. And, you know, with a brand new project, it's always fun to, you know, see it take off.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm going to go into my final question here. And then, Bobby, if it's okay with you, I'll open it up for just a couple of Q&A, and then we'll segue into your portion of the presentation. Does that work? Okay, great. So let's talk about contact information. And I think, Eddie, you've done a great job of posting a lot of stuff in the chat, and I really appreciate it. Is there any specific person or email or any other thing that you would recommend that people look toward when they want to reach out to Accenture around the available blockchain jobs?
Thanks. So yeah, definitely all the links I shared would have kind of the latest and greatest information. If anybody, wants to reach out to me through LinkedIn as well, that's another channel. But really everything that we have is posted on those links. So definitely look out for new roles opening up. And I'm happy to, connect with anybody offline as well.
Perfect. And then Daniella, maybe, I go back to, you have kind of two perspectives here. Is one is getting involved with the Hyperledger internship. And then also, let's say that someone is interested in another Hyperledger member that's maybe hiring. What advice would you have for them to, get engaged and figure out the right contact?
Sure. So I posted our job board, which once again is our members come to us and they say, we're looking for talent. Can you help, advertise these open positions? And what we do with that is we put it into, for example, our newsletter. It goes out to about 38,000 subscribers, and we'll include that. We'll use social media, so whether Twitter or LinkedIn, to post these job openings for our members. So if any of you on the phone are member companies, please do reach out and submit your positions, because we'd love to help promote them as well. As I started off the talk today, or my comments today, really it's people like yourselves, John, Bobby, and others here on the phone who are committed to contributing to the community. We encourage people who are chairs of our SIGs or contributors to different working groups or SIGs to advertise that also in LinkedIn. And if you feel uncomfortable or you don't know how, reach out to us, and you can just send info@hyperledger.org, or contact David Boswell, who's on the phone here, as well as myself, and say, I've been doing this for Hyperledger. How do I, advertise that in my LinkedIn profile so that I can get, further notification that I'm working with the project? And we're happy to do that. There's some certifications. I put some of the training and certifications. Obviously, if you finish those courses, you get a certificate or you get a badge that you can put on your LinkedIn account. But ultimately, if you are contributing and you're participating, we can help you on how do you tell your future employer that you're hiring, and if you are that you're looking for a job, and if you're hiring, how do you tell your future employee that you would like to access them? So I'll go ahead and put my email address on here, and anybody who wants to reach out and have a chat about how do I go about being more up in front on the Hyperledger community, we can help you with that. We're nothing without you all, so we want to make sure that everybody's successful.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Danielle. And I know that there's been some exploration about the badges, which really kind of goes to that whole, certification and engagement in the community. And I think that, anyone on this call who really wants to, promote that they're engaged in the community or have acquired the various skill sets, like, let's say, certified Hyperledger Fabric administrator, then, definitely go after those credentials. Then also I'd like to get Melissa's take on this, and just, I know that you're responsible for human resources at Kaleido, but I'm sure everyone would love to have your contact information and or, tell them how they can get engaged with Kaleido if they're interested in joining the team.
Exactly. Yes. I'm out there on LinkedIn, Melissa Crosby. I'll put my email in here, but it's melissa.crosby@kaleido.io. So, and if you start thinking, how do you spell Kaleido? Just think about kaleidoscope. So then you'll get it. But we have, Twitter, Instagram, if you want to see just some employee things that we've done. We try to, since we are a smaller team, we're able to kind of get out and about, and just go for the summer here. We just went to a local lake, and we have paddle boards, and just did some fun things, with everyone's families. And we'll do holiday parties once we can do that again. And right now with COVID, we're coming back into the office just 2 days a week. And then kind of as numbers continue to decline, we'll look how that continues to go. So, but yeah, it's a fun team, and I'll put my email in here too for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's just take a couple of minutes here for Q&A, and then if anyone has a desire to follow up with any of our panelists today, they've already put their contact information in there, and they're a wealth of resource and opportunity if you're interested in engaging. So if you want to do that, I don't know, maybe take yourself off of mute and just ask the question, and then we'll have the panelists address it. And if it's for an individual panelist, just highlight that when you come off mute. And if we don't have any questions, then I'm glad to turn it over to Bobby, because I know she has a full agenda, and I've probably taken more time away from her agenda than I should. So let's just go ahead and segue at this point to Bobby, and she can take it away from here.
Great, thank you. And thank you, John, for hosting today. We really appreciate all the work you've done to get this off the ground, and all the work you do for Hyperledger for the meetups, just testing out the software and all the stuff you do. So I'm Bobby Mascara, and I'm the chair or co-chair with Alfonso, who is also on the call, of the Learning Materials Working Group. And what we try to do, again, is we try to make it really easy for the community to engage in Hyperledger's entire community, whether you're a developer. One job that nobody mentioned, that's one of my new favorites, is community builder, because blockchains are based on communities. And if you don't have a strong community, you don't have a blockchain. So social butterflies like me have great jobs as community builders. So that's something that I personally enjoy myself. So I'm going to get started with a little bit about what blockchain environment is and how we got here. So the first thing is, like, what is blockchain? So everybody basically knows it's a peer-to-peer system, and you now direct or transact directly with the person instead of using intermediaries. And I'm going to do this quick because, again, if there are no transactions, there are no blockchains. They're basically ledgers that keep track, just like any other accounting ledger or book of records. Doesn't have to be transactional based, but it tends to, in a lot of the blockchains, have transactional basis for their entries. So the difference between the older type accounting systems and this new accounting system is it's decentralized. So there's not one person in charge of it. Everyone agrees to what's in this ledger. And once that's agreed upon, thanks to math and cryptography, it can't be changed. So all of the sudden, blockchain systems have this trust that never was around in business before, because you don't have to rely on one person's version of something. You can rely on the truth, because you know it's the truth because everybody agreed it was the truth when it was put into the blockchain. So again, the big difference between blockchain models and the old models is there's not one CEO, there's not one president, there's not one person in charge. Decisions are made decentralized and by group consensus. So consensus does drive these new models, and it gives you trust. So how did we get here? How is this new technology new? Like, where did it come from? Was it under a rock and somebody picked a rock up and said, oh, look, I have new technology? Actually, it was around for pieces were around for a really long time. So first piece was we had to communicate with each other and send files. So back in the 70s, DARPA, which is the defense agency, decided that they wanted to try to send information from one place to another. And they did it with a test at UCLA and I guess at Syracuse or not. I'm not sure what that college is. I should have looked at the thing. It was another California college. And they actually were successful in sending it. And the way they sent it was through this TCP protocol. And that has become the basis for the internet today. That protocol, along with hyperlinked documents, which becomes HTTP, which is how we send all our internet and web documents, basically became the World Wide Web. And the birth of the World Wide Web is similar to the birth of blockchain right now. It's often been compared because there's all this new technology and all these companies wanting to capitalize on it, but nobody really knows really where we're going and how we're going to get there. So a lot of people are worried about the dot-com bubble coming back. And that was just this new internet technology. Everybody wanted to start a business, but nobody really knew what that business should look like. So the characteristics was a lot of new applications came out. The first one was email. All of the information on the web at this point was sent to you. It was pushed to you by an administrator. And it was all managed by a central authority. It was pushed to the users. And then again, email was the first killer app for this. And basically what email did was the first time we transferred information electronically. Before that, if you wanted to mail something, you had to go to UPS or FedEx or the United States Post Office to get your documents or a courier to get them transferred to where you need to be. This technology, now you didn't need to do that. And when this first came out, people didn't realize how email was going to become such a part of our lives. When it first came out, people were like, oh, email, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Now, I don't think anybody can live without having an email somehow in their life. Also, this is the key because now all of a sudden computer connections in households started to become very important. Technology started to advance, so no longer like the floppy disks, you know, had mediums that could hold terabytes of information. You had internet speeds that were just crazy fast compared to what, I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers America Online connecting with that horrible sound that you had to listen to for the first few seconds. I still hear that in my sleep sometimes. But again, all these companies were attempting to cash in on this new technology. First one that came up with an actual business case was Netscape, and that was the first commercial web browser. So that was finally, now everybody can use this new technology. And then the information changed with that, and we started to move towards the Internet of Information, where it was going to be exchanged back and forth. And some of and they call this phase Web 2. And this was, new forums came out where not only were you able to read information, but you were able to give information back into these systems. Again, content was still from administrators and there was still a central authority. Oh, that was a dupe. But now we were able to share our information back. And boy, did we give our information away at a frenzied pace. It was like we couldn't give it away quick enough. We didn't care what they were doing with it, how it was being used, or that it was our information, actually, not theirs. And it became very siloed and very monetized by other people. And it's still our information. So America Online, Facebook, Google, Wikipedia, Wikipedia was interesting. It was the first time you could build a dictionary. Everyone could put in their definition and decide what it should be. And that's like kind of like a precursor of what's happening today. So all of these companies now were born and taking or they weren't taking it, we were just giving it to them. So a hint of things to come. We're going to talk about 2 use cases with music sharing. The first one was BitTorrent. So BitTorrent went out there and they got music to share, and they connected people's computers that had music files. And what they did was they broke them into little packets so that when somebody called up, used the protocol, you had to download the protocol. When you use the protocol to find a song, it would build the song for you and deliver it to you. Another use case was Napster. Now, what Napster did was they, as a central authority, indexed all the music that was stored on everybody's computer, and that you would go to the index to find the file. Well, obviously musicians were like, hold it, wait a minute, this is our music and we're not giving it away to you. We need this stuff shut down. So the legal community agreed with them and went to these people and said, turn yourselves off. This is not legal. This is not fair. Well, with Napster, it was easy. They just took the index down and no one could find anything when they were using the protocol. But they never could turn off BitTorrent because it wasn't centralized anywhere. It was stored on everybody's computer. And this is like the first look at what a decentralized system can be. Granted, there was no guarantee any music file you got was the music file you wanted. It could be, you could ask for one song and get another song or get a different version of the song. So there was no reliability in the system, but it couldn't be turned down either. Both of these companies are still working today. There's links to their websites with a different business model, but they still both run and music share fairly. So that's kind of where we're moving towards Web3 now, which is where we're entering. And this is interesting because just like back when we were talking about sharing information in email and how, I don't know if we're going to do that. Now we're at the same turning point, but with value. We have now figured out how the internet can transfer value safely. Again, safely is a key word. We've always been able to transfer value on the internet. It just wasn't accurate or safe or reliable, or the systems were centralized with American Express or MasterCard. So some of the characteristics of this is the communities involved in building these websites or these communities. And the systems are intelligent. They can run blockchain technologies such as smart contracts. They can learn patterns and make predictions based on those patterns now. And artificial intelligence is, just a whole new aspect of how that information can be applied. And what we're trying to do, I guess, with Web3 is we realize that our information is ours and it shouldn't be siloed and owned by other people. It should be owned by us. And so we're trying to break the silos with new internet identification models, the trust triangle, where there's verifiers and holders of attestations and how they're going to transact. There's so many new business models coming out from this. So basically, to just clarify something very quickly, blockchain's not Bitcoin. Bitcoins are the product of the Bitcoin network. It's a digital currency, and you can only exchange Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. It was a decentralized system created by an unknown gentleman named Satoshi Nakamoto in a white paper in 2009. So if anybody says they 13 years blockchain experience, they don't. They could only have 12 because that's how new this technology is. So it's a
created Bitcoin and Ripple from the same IP address. Continue.
So it's a decentralized payment system, and it, no coincidence, it came out right around the bank failures and when they needed to be bailed out by governments. So its purpose was to be a currency, a medium for exchange, a store of value over time, and accepted is a key word, measure of worth. So right now we have fiat currency, and that's issued from the government. It's not backed by any commodity other than the government say so. It only has value because the citizens of that government or the citizens of that country believe it has value. And apart from governments, central authorities or central banks control your money. Like they tell you what you have, like credit cards or your bank account. They all hold and control your money for you. Cryptocurrencies, again, this is a new way to look at that. Bitcoin is a public blockchain where you need a Bitcoin wallet, which is a downloadable thing on your phone. And with that wallet, you can send and receive Bitcoin. You own it, and it can be proved by math. That's basically, instead of the government saying it has value, you can prove that it has value through blockchain networks, cryptography, and the public and private key pairs, which is not something we're going to get into. But we'll offer classes at the end for you to take if you want to learn more. So now basically it's entrusting you with your keys and your value, your worth, whether it's in cryptocurrencies or whatever, but you are now responsible for it as opposed to a central figure. So this is what we call the decentralized future. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are like the first killer app for this new Web3, but there's going to be much more. There's different types of blockchains. Private blockchains like Hyperledger permission their users. So they don't really have a cryptocurrency running on it. They can exchange value through tokenization, but they don't actually run a cryptocurrency because consensus is derived from the permissioning process rather than the consensus mining process. And again, blockchain can now transfer anything. It just doesn't have to be the value. It can be artwork. It can be moments in time in NFTs now. There's all types of new business models that are coming out. So you have Bitcoin, and there's also other public blockchains like Ethereum. Ethereum's not only a crypto asset, as if you call Bitcoin can transfer value like a calculator. Ethereum can do stuff like a computer. So Bitcoin can only transfer Bitcoin back and forth, and that's the purpose of it, where Ethereum is not only a crypto asset, but a crypto commodity because it can make blockchains that can talk to each other and add value through tokenization. So that even takes it a step further. It's a connected virtual machine where you can use the computing power. Get your head around that for a few minutes and the ideas can be endless. And that's why consensus is so vital to the growth of blockchain, because their incubators like Kaleido and other companies have to start somewhere. And that's where they're like born out of these great ideas. So new business cases will be coming up. Hopefully it won't be a .com bubble that will burst, but something reliable that we can work on in the future. And that's basically a summary of what blockchain is. I don't know if Naresh is on the call right now. Yes, he is. So I'm going to turn it over to Naresh, who's going to talk about actual, like the blockchain's jobs and the skills needed for those jobs. So the Indian Blockchain Institute is teaming up with BC Employ, which again, you can go to our website after this session. We're going to have 3 other sessions after this. The website is www.bcemploy. If you click on the last tab for training, you can go right into the Indian Blockchain Institute's learning management system, where you can sign up for great classes or just read about the classes. But we do suggest you get your name in that learning management system to get notifications of new opportunities for learning. So I am going to be quiet for a while, and I'm going to let Naresh take over.
Thank you, Bobby. It was a wonderful presentation. You tried to explain blockchain in simple words. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. So right now for me, it's a little early. It's 5 a.m. in India here. So Bobby, would you mind sharing the presentation? I'm not able to see it. Bobby, you're on mute. Okay, I can see it now. So I think you ran through the presentation without this PPT, but you covered it very well. All right. So initially, I'll talk about blockchain adoption. What's really happening in this space? It, as per Gartner or IDC and many other reports, blockchain is at an inflection point. Any new technology goes through a hype cycle. First, it goes up. There's a lot of buzzword, a lot of research, Then it starts coming down, and it starts getting matured. And 2020, 21, these 2 years, in fact, 21. So we are actually at the plateau of this curve. And here onwards, it's going to start maturing. So adoption is happening at a very fast rate. And as Bobby started talking about, blockchain is an ecosystem play where you need a big infrastructure, because no company, no business can work independently. And for that infrastructure, governments across all over the world have started making strategy, have started implementing, creating policy, and started creating infrastructure. So governments across, like in India, recently I just read the news, 21 state legislative passed some policy for blockchain. China has adopted and came out with their policy about 2 years back, and Europe also has came out their Europe blockchain strategy about a year back, and many other countries have come out with their strategy. And the maximum adoption is happening in what areas? Let me talk about some of the use cases. So finance is, or fintech is the number one space where maximum adoption is happening, and they're the first where adoption has started happening. And tokenization, related to that, tokenization is a major thing which is happening, which is changing the scenario completely. So there are two kind of blockchain network. One is blockchain public blockchain network. Second is a private or permission blockchain network. Permission blockchain network is mainly for enterprise, and public is mainly for tokenization. And tokenization changing the scenario across fintech industry. And enterprise is where trade finance, supply chain, and all of that is making a big difference. Now let's understand the job scenario, what is there globally. Because as blockchain adoption has started increasing at a very fast rate, it has also started opening the job market. As per the LinkedIn report in 2020, blockchain has been ranked among the top hard skills. It's a top hard skill as per them, and the demand is increasing year by year up to 5 times. Maximum job openings are in USA, New York, and San Francisco, as far as US is concerned. In other countries, London, Berlin, Singapore, Hong Kong, and India is also increasing at a very fast rate. I can say that. Average salary in USA for blockchain developer is almost 1.4K, 140K. And in Asia, it's a little less, almost 90,000. And Europe is again in the same range, 75,000. In USA, it's quite higher. And these numbers, what you say, so there are various data is available in various reports. And the data is collated from all of that, and it may not be very accurate. These are just numbers published by different places. So the data may not be very accurate, and the trend what is seen, because we are getting a lot of inquiry and we're placing the like we are servicing our customers. We know that in fact the salaries are higher than this, according to me. It's not low actually, and because this number is little older, say late 2020, but right now, because the adoption is increasing at a fast rate, there's a crunch of resources, and like demand is so much that price has increased. So this number in fact is much higher. And the roles, what you see where it's going mainly, it's blockchain engineering side, operations side, and there are some requirement is coming on design, sales, and marketing side. So I'll talk about the roles in more detail in the next slides. As I mentioned, finance is leading, and 20% of the job, 28% of the jobs are coming in that space, and followed by, in fact, supply chain. I would say the number 2, healthcare, energy, and food. And the biggest employers globally, what we see is IBM, Deloitte, Accenture, Cisco. These are some of the companies. Consensus is another company who are the big employer. In fact, they have a purely blockchain company, and they have more than 800 employees in that company. And like that, many big exchanges like finance, like that, they also are high, they are the big, very big employers. And maximum big employers are exchanges, development companies, mining firms. They account for 85% of the professional employees. Bobby, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so let me spend some time here. It's better to understand what are the kind of job roles. Blockchain is a very complex technology, I would say. It's not easy to understand. And that is why even the project manager or a sales guy, it's not easy for them to execute the project or sell blockchain technology without really having understanding of any understanding of blockchain. So that is why you see that here it says blockchain consultant, blockchain architect, blockchain legal consultant, blockchain sales, or writer, or data scientist. Because it requires at least some understanding to play any one of these kind of roles. And there's no standard as on today what a particular job role is all about. You will see that there are different job roles. Somebody would say, I need a blockchain engineer. Somebody would say, I need a blockchain developer. Someone would say that I need token engineer, crypto engineer, or blockchain advisor. So like that, there are different names, but let me clarify it here. So blockchain consultant or advisor or analyst, they would fall in the same category. And these are the people who understands blockchain concepts. These are the people who understands domain. And in fact, that is the first thing what you need for implementation of blockchain technology, because they are the people who comes in front where based on the requirement, they design solution. And that is the first thing what is needed. And in fact, what we have observed that companies, when they advertise, mostly they would say that they need blockchain engineer, blockchain developer. But if you see the job description, basically it will move towards blockchain consultant, because unless you design a solution, identify the right use case and design a solution, you will not be able to go to that level where you start developing the solution. So blockchain engineer or administrator is comes at number 2 level, where they need to actually create the network, do the setup, and then after that development actually starts happening. So development or smart, you can say a smart contract developer or blockchain developer, they actually, and there are 2 kind of developer here. One is a core developer, second is a application developer. When we say core developer is someone who actually works on the core of blockchain framework or blockchain protocol. Whereas application developer is someone who creates the application using blockchain framework. Then crypto engineer and token engineer, in fact, everybody asks for blockchain engineer. And if you see the job description, in fact, they would be needing crypto engineer, token engineer. And that is the biggest in demand as on today, because tokenization is increasing. The applications related to tokenization is increasing at a very, very fast rate. You must have heard about NFT, so non-fungible token, digital art, right? So that is one of the use case of tokenization. Okay, so cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of these, you must have heard. All of these, again, it's crypto token, and it's a tokenization, which is using blockchain as a technology. So that is where the maximum buzz is, or maximum application, which is happening. And that is what is going to impact our financial industry in a very big way. It is changing the scenario, the way businesses are being done. And you will see that impact slowly and slowly. Next 5 years or 5 to 10 years, big in finance industry will have to major overhaul because of this tokenization and blockchain technology. So next is blockchain architect. In fact, blockchain architect comes in the beginning before even you start engineering the project or developing the project. Because once you identify the use case, you're supposed to create an architecture. You're supposed to know how many nodes, how many organizations are required. Okay, how they're going to connect with each other. What framework do you need to use? Whether it should be a public blockchain or it should be a private blockchain, permission blockchain. So how the permissioning will happen. And it's a complete architecture needs to be created. So architect plays a big role, where architect is supposed to have a good understanding of multiple framework. They should have a good understanding of the blockchain concepts and different frameworks. So blockchain consultant is a subset of architect. Architect is the next level. And architect is someone who actually has worked on multiple technology, has played some kind of role in architecting or doing the architecting kind of work in the past. So blockchain quality engineer or tester, that is something right now, the demand for that is slow, but it's going to increase. As more and more adoption is increasing, you would be needing quality engineers or tester for blockchain. Blockchain legal consultant attorney is another area where attorneys are required to really understand the legal implications when it comes to tokenization or when it comes to legalization of smart contract or any other thing. There's another one is BAS, blockchain as a service operator. So there are many blockchain managed service provider, and generally, like many of the network could be based on these managed services. So operator is someone who's supposed to basically manage those networks. This is one of the skill which is going to increase going forward. Same way, blockchain journalist or writer, they are supposed to have a good understanding so that they can start writing. Same way, blockchain sales, project manager, cybersecurity, market research, data scientist. So all of these people are supposed to have some understanding of blockchain so that they can play that role and more effective in any in their own area. Okay, can you go to the next slides? Bobby? Yeah. Okay. So right now, the biggest demand, as I mentioned, is blockchain developer. And blockchain developer, it includes crypto token as well. So blockchain developer, there are multiple different kind of developers, but depending upon the framework, like Solidity developer, chain code developer, Coda developer. So that is these are different framework. When you say you want to be blockchain developer, So for what kind of framework? So it's for Ethereum, or it's for Hyperledger, or it's for Coda. Same way, when you want to become a consultant. So consultant, I would say there are two main areas here. One is enterprise blockchain consultant. Second is tokenization. So I'm putting these in two different specific categories: enterprise blockchain consultant and tokenization consultant. So tokenization mainly is for public blockchain. Enterprise blockchain consultant is for enterprise applications. So in that, again, you're supposed to understand or learn what are the different frameworks. If I talk about enterprise blockchains, so under Hyperledger, there are various frameworks like Fabric or Sawtooth or Indy or Besu. Like Coda is there. Even Ethereum or Quorum is there. When it comes to tokenization, then there are various public platform is there. For example, Ethereum, Cardano, and like that. Then it comes to a blockchain engineer. So blockchain engineer, again, they are supposed to have a good understanding of the blockchain in terms of various frameworks are there, and they work differently. So Fabric is there, Ethereum is there, Coda is there, Indy, Besu, like that. And then blockchain architect. So which cut across multiple technology or multiple frameworks and tools. So these are the four major prominent areas where blockchain jobs are available. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? See, it just talks about, again, these numbers are from internet, so I cannot really say how accurate these numbers are, but I can say one thing: it shows the trends. The blockchain market is growing at a very, very fast rate, and blockchain developer engineers are maximum demand, and they are actually demanding a very high salary. In USA, up to 200K they're getting, and Asia, in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, in India, the salary is a little less, but it's still very high compared to any other technology what we see. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so here I'm going to talk about the training programs, what are being mapped. The mapping has been done as per the job roles. Okay, and blockchain consultant, blockchain developer, blockchain administrator, and blockchain architects. So these are the areas where maximum job openings are there. And once the programs are according to these different job roles, and if any one of you do that, in that case, you can make your career in that for that particular job role. But it doesn't mean that by joining these programs, you cannot have a different job roles. So it depends upon your skill set, your interest, and your past experience will make a difference here. So can we go to the next slide, please? All right. So if I talk about blockchain developer, there are two different programs, but here we are offering here. One is on the Ethereum development, Ethereum framework, and second is on a Hyperledger Fabric. And these two programs, if we cover, in fact, 70% or 80% of the development work or job requirement would be actually covered by these two programs. If I talk about blockchain administrator, so we are offering the blockchain Fabric administrator program. And in fact, that will also cover, when it comes to administration, 50, 60%, 60% of the requirement will be covered here. And same way, blockchain architect, which covers across Ethereum, Hyperfabric, and a few other areas, Coda, and also all that he talks about. It covers the concepts. So it talks about development area, it talks about administration area, and It talks about multiple frameworks. And in all of these programs, so we have blockchain concepts. We have, depending upon, focus is more, if it is development, focus is more on development side. If it is admin, focus is more admin side. If it is architect, it's more on, it covers all of the areas. And in all of them, in all of these programs, we have a capstone project. We talk about, basically we take one of the use case and we develop that use case. So these programs, like we have given mention the hours here. You can visit this website, bcemployee.indianblockchaininstitute.com. You can sign up over there. You can see all the details of all the programs and know about more about this program when pricing is given over there. And if you feel interested, you can sign up for any one of the program. So these programs we are targeting to launch. These programs will be conducted on the weekends, so that Saturday, Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time. That's the plan. But you can visit the website and see if you want to understand more, and you can connect so that we can help you out with whatever information you need. So Bobby, so this is what I want to say. If any question, I'm happy to take up that question.
Yeah, we're going to go into questions and answers in just a second. I just want to pull over the website for people to get information at. It is www.bcemployee.com. We list current jobs from major companies. We're going to make this an automatic feed from their news feeds for jobs so that it will be current and up to date. We also have a tab for if you're interested in becoming a partner with this website to post your jobs. We have information about that. Also, we have our contact information. And then we'll put the presentation that we just did, as well as all the information and links from the chat on this opportunity seeker page, which is basically a summary of what we talked about tonight, leading up to our next event, which, let me go back to the slideshow. If Jim wants to discuss for a moment, that would be great. Jim, are you there or not today? I don't know if he's available today. So we're going to just move along the slide. Let me see if I can click it from here. Yep, let me go back. So up and coming events, Jim is going to host the next BC Employee event, and that is going to be geared more towards filling your pipeline and how that's going to happen. We're going to have speakers, again, guest speakers that will be interviewed for that one. And then the final one is going to be a Princeton meetup that I'm going to host in person in Tiger Labs on Nassau Street in Princeton. But we will also feed it Zoom, so it will be a hybrid meeting. There we're going to discuss how to market yourself, and we're going to have other speakers come in as well. And then the final session is going to be a job fair where all the great companies that have talked and all the great people who want to jump in, whether they're started their training, finished their training, or thinking about their trainings, can join the companies at their tables and discuss the jobs that are available. And if your skill set is in line right now to apply, or if you need to work on your training skill sets. Also, we mentioned earlier with the mentorship program, the giving chain, again, we're just starting. We need everybody. We need community builders. We need UX designers. We need sales people, marketing people, graphics people. We need developers. We need anyone from a social service organization that would like to see if this use case fits their need. Again, we're just getting started, and this project's going to run till November. We're going to meet just about every week. It's listed in the Hyperledger calendar, our meetings, as well as on the meetup for Princeton's blockchain. So please join. Our next meeting is next Friday. So that is available for people to join. And
Bobby, I think Jim may have jumped on here and he might be able to just weigh in about the Boston meetup.
Yeah, hi, Jim here. And basically Bobby did cover it correctly. I'm putting together a panel of, in a sense, recruiters who can talk to, in a sense, building a roadmap for your own blockchain opportunities, what the process is, try to help you set expectations, that kind of stuff. So that's briefly what session 2 on the 29th would be.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it back over to, let me go back, John for Q&A.
Okay, if anyone would like to go ahead and let me know that you'd like to ask a question of Naresh or Bobby, or I don't know if we have our panelists still on, but let's go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about it here. I know I've seen some questions about kind of the startup ecosystem. So Daniella, if you're on, maybe you can touch base on the startup ecosystem a little bit more. I would definitely recommend you go and check out a lot of the special interest groups in the vertical that you're looking to do a startup. So if you're looking to do something around identity management, go ahead and check out a special interest group there. And I would just say, go on to the hyperledger.org website, and there's a lot of good deep dive you can do, but it's definitely very supportive of the startup ecosystem. And I think, Kaleido is a smaller organization, and they can just talk about, how they're doing with that type of environment. Let's see, what other impact of low code, no code platforms? So maybe I'll turn that one over to Naresh. What is your thought about that as far as its impact on Hyperledger?
Okay, so let me understand the question once again. This question is from whom?
This is from Mike, and he sent it to me directly. So Mike, if you want to come off mute and just ask your question directly to Naresh, that'd be great.
Can I be heard?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I'll just repeat the question verbally, but what kind of impact do you think low code, no code platforms will have on current and future projects in the Hyperledger space?
Okay, so see, there's a need for different kind of framework, and there are like many frameworks which are available right now and coming up every now and then. We come to know that new framework comes up. So Hyperledger, under that umbrella project, the multiple frameworks, Fabric is on the top, and there are various projects under that which are going on globally. And outside Hyperledger, other than there's a Coda. So when we talk about enterprise blockchain applications, any kind of majority of the enterprise applications are covered under this permission blockchain, which is mainly, I would say, is by Fabric and Coda. So any new project related to enterprise, anyway, it's going to be mainly in Hyperledger as a project under that umbrella or Coda. But when it comes to tokenization, Hyperledger does not really cover tokenization. It does not support that as of now, but they are actually working in that space too. So it's mainly the Ethereum or derived blockchain framework based on Ethereum. So there are many which are there, and they are going to work independently. So when it comes to any kind of jobs, it's going to be in both the spaces. I hope it answers your question.
Yeah. I'd like to add to that. And yeah, Naresh, you're right. Tokenization, there's a bunch of tokenizations. There's just a project with the Smart Token SDK that is now in Hyperledger Labs for Fabric. And certainly with Bezu, there's a lot of projects, including eTeller, for example, which is a project that came out of the capital markets SIG, where they've coded out a synthetic token for the Ethereum blockchain. But on the question, Mike, that you had around low code, no code, think of it, like back in the days when people were developing websites and we didn't have WordPress or, any of the other user tools that makes it really easy for people to develop, websites. There's always going to be a need for developers who have deep expertise at the protocol level, at the, SDK level, at the API level, et cetera. But as these technologies get adopted and they get matured, there's going to be a need for applications at the business logic level. So, and that gives an opportunity for business analysts who are not developers to be able to work with blockchain technologies to do that. So I think that's your question, Mike. Maybe you can clarify if I'm wrong about that. But my take, and we're seeing blockchain platforms in our own ecosystem. We have folks like Simba Chain, for example, as well as ChainStack, Kaleido, where their focus is building an application layer for the business analysts that are going to be running the, not as administrators to the blockchain networks or developers of the blockchain, but actually running of the networks. So is that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that pretty much covers it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a couple of ecosystem players that you might see, and Simba Chain is actually hiring, and as is Kaleido. And I just saw that two more job posts were approved over on our job site, and they're looking for developers for their platform. But a lot of the solutions that they have for the ecosystem or for their customers are, what many would call low code, no code type of applications.
Yeah, so even I would like to add here. So as more and more applications or platforms are coming, in fact, the enterprises, companies can adopt those, and in fact does not require any development work. You can start using them as it is. The only thing you might need to do some kind of integration with your existing application. But otherwise, in fact, for that, they also expose APIs. And by connecting your existing applications, you can start communicating with that blockchain network and start using it. So that's a trend, and that is how it's gonna be going forward. So in fact, low and very less development work would be required. Okay, I can see there. There's one question related to any training for consulting. So as I mentioned, the one of the role, which is a blockchain consultant, blockchain analyst, and in fact, that is what even Daniella was talking about. That according to me, that is very, very important right now, because if you identify use case, unless you identify use case and start taking a decision whether you want to implement blockchain or not, you cannot really do any kind of development work. So there's some kind of design thinking is required. Say there's some kind of analysis required in terms of identification the right use case, because blockchain cannot be implemented everywhere. Blockchain is also not the solution for every problem. So identification of the right use case, and then designing the solution around that. And in fact, there can be so many different use cases in a company where you should spend your energy and time, where you're going to get maximum return on investment. So that's a role of a consultant, and a very, very important role which comes on the top according to me. So the other questions, if you're interested and have the bandwidth, David may.
Yeah, one question I'll just highlight, Naresh, is Lancho had a question about will the trainings, courses help a non-technical person transition into a technical career? And I think there's such a wealth of training materials that's offered through Hyperledger and the Hyperledger training partners that I think, being able to get skilled up for a blockchain career is something that's definitely in the cards, but you just have to dive into the training materials, and maybe even Bobby wants to highlight a little bit on that as well.
Yeah, two things just to highlight. I'm going to share my screen again. One is on our website, the learning dashboard. It connects to the learning management system at the Indian Blockchain Association. So if you're just interested in learning more about the specific trainings and what they do, this is a great interface. It talks about all the different programs. If you click on one of the programs, depending on my internet connection, it shows you how many hours, the schedule for it, how to enroll in it. So this is a great resource if you're interested in diving more into getting a certification. And again, having a certification on your LinkedIn profile, which is a live resume now, is a great opportunity. Also, though, I'm going to do this quickly, is the Learning Materials Development Working Group at Hyperledger. And I'm sure that every other company like Consensus and Corda have working groups, have special interest groups, and have learning materials on their website. This is the wiki site for Hyperledger, so it's more of like an internal playground. I play there all the time. This is the Learning Materials Development Working Site. What it does, it teaches you how to become a member, how to get a Linux login, how to edit a wiki page, and also it shows you how to join a meeting. So again, there's different working groups, like the identity working group, that's cross-sector working on the identity issue in blockchain. You have performance and scale issues. Again, learning materials need to be collected. We have a resource library that has information developed by the community, stored and indexed, organized for you to at your fingertips. And again, the special interest groups is where it is the easiest place to onboard and get involved in the community. And that goes for Consensus working groups, Corda working groups, Hyperledger working groups. And I will highlight the working group. Jim is the chair of the public sector working group. And basically that's governments coming together and discussing issues and problems that they may have. Why didn't that work? So each one has its own page. You can, there's your join button. You can join the group. I'll go back to learning materials just to show you. So any special interest group you're interested in learning more about, if you go to the special interest group's homepage, there's a subscribe button. When you do that, you'll be getting the emails about the meetings that they're having. And if you're ever interested in joining a meeting, we have meetings every day. They're open to the public. Please just, I encourage you to join the Learning Materials Working Group because that's where you're going to learn the most. But if you go to the main Hyperledger wiki page, the menu down the left has a calendar of public meetings. And this is so cool. Every day it has what meetings are happening. So today there's one more meetup. It's ours. We're still active, so it's still on there. Tomorrow there is a Sawtooth meeting if you're interested in that blockchain. There's also the Diversity, Civility, and Inclusion Working Group. That's a working group that's based, whose basis is to develop techniques to onboard diverse community members and to get everyone working together in a non-threatening environment. So again, any interest you have, these are open meetings. You would just click, copy the Zoom link at the time and just join the meeting. So again, I didn't hope I didn't take up too much time with that lengthy explanation, but again, all of the companies have working groups to join. They have learning materials available for you. I have been in the Hyperledger community for a little over 3 years, and it is the best education I never paid for, compared to the ones that I did pay for, which was lots of college. So again, if you're willing to learn and donate some time, that's one avenue. Or get the training, look at the training programs, get certified, because that goes a long way as well.
I would like to add another point here. So the question what you're talking about, whether the programs can help a non-technical guy to become a technical. So here, you don't have, first of all, you don't have to really become technical guy, being a non-technical guy, unless you want it. Of course, anybody can become a developer at any age. That doesn't matter. But you don't have to really become a technical guy. So when I say that, so of course, it requires a good understanding of blockchain concepts. So when you get deeper, the subject is so vast, it takes a lot of time. And when you really understand as a non-technical guy in your domain area, in your industry, you can really think very in a different way. Your thinking can be broadened, and then you can come out with the solutions which can help your own company or your own business to perform better or to implement that solution. So you don't have to really become a technical guy. Just attending doing this program, you can become a blockchain consultant, advisor, or analyst, and still you remain as a non-technical guy. Just to answer that question.
Thank
The
you
other
so
thing
much.
I'd like to highlight, Lanchel, if you want to jump in there and ask your question, then I'm going to highlight something posted in the chat. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. That was a very detailed explanation on the question. But I just want to clarify, the reason I was asking is because my background is in project management. So I'm not sure how to transition into the industry. So it's like, because it seems it's a very technical industry. So that's why I was asking between consulting or just leaning, all the way into blockchain developer or engineer. That's why I'm not sure which way.
So let me clarify this answer in a different way as well. In last couple of years, in fact, we have trained maximum guys who are non-technical. And when I say non-technical, people are from different backgrounds, whether they are from finance industry or supply chain industry, healthcare industry. They are from even government, project management side, and they have never done coding in their life. And in fact, and when we did this program for those people, we focused purely on the business side. When we say business side, understanding the concepts of blockchain, what really blockchain is all about, and how it can help a business. That is very, very important. And that is when, once you have that understanding, you can perform your role in a much better way. Suppose you have done project management and you are implementing some project which is a related project related to blockchain. In that case, you're supposed to really understand what are the nuances of blockchain, what are the different terminology, how it helps, how it works, and how different resources in that space, how they think, and what kind of challenges they can face. Understanding, having that kind of understanding can help you in performing your role much better way. Even if you're from a different industry and doing project management, non-IT, in that case, you have to really decide whether you want to get into the project management of IT or blockchain. In that case, having this kind of understanding or learning can help you to perform better.
And I'm also going to add, please come out for the Giving Chain meetings. We take, when we did the project in 2019, we had 6 checkpoints that we worked through to build the project. 3 out of the 6 checkpoints are purely business. It's building relationships, it's project management, it is, calling people up from food banks or from the American Red Cross, or it's building solid business models, and that is just project management. And every blockchain project needs an equal support for the business side than the technology side. I know at Hyperledger, we find the best projects are the ones that reach across from the developers into the special interest groups to actually solve a project, and they all need managers.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And you're gonna, the link out, I'm gonna find the link to the event you're talking about, or?
Yeah, Bobby will post a link to the next event in Boston in the chat. The other thing I was just going to highlight is, Lindsay, thanks for posting that notice about the community meeting that you have coming up there. And I really want to highlight that Hyperledger is always very open and welcoming to new community members. And I think Lindsay's post really highlights that. And so anyone who is new to the Hyperledger community, I welcome you to, take Lindsay up on, joining one of these special interest groups, or like Bobby talked about, come into the Hyperledger Learning Materials Working Group meetings, or even go and visit the website and just check out all the great content that's out there. And Bobby's done a wonderful job of really building out that content to make it a very useful page.
Okay, I have a question as well, kind of similar to the question that was previously asked, but with a background outside of blockchain, for example, I have a business analyst role, so I have experience with like NetSuite. I've also done insurance sales. How does one craft a resume, and what kind of resume system are these companies running? And what are you looking inside of a resume and CV to kind of give you that wow factor that you guys are looking for?
So I can take up this if someone else is there who wants to take up this question from employment point of view.
Yeah, I would just say that.
Okay, so
go ahead, Naresh. You can go.
Yeah, please
go for it and answer that question.
Okay. All right. So I would say one thing here. You can be from any background, and I'm trying to answer this question, that understanding of blockchain concept is very, very important for identification of the right use case and implementing the solution. Most of the companies today, whether it's IT or non-IT, even I'm talking about even IT companies, they do not really understand what blockchain is. And everybody needs to understand what blockchain is, what is the potential of blockchain, what it can do, and how it can help the industry. When you start learning, when you start getting deeper, when you start researching, when you start talking about what blockchain can do, that is when you start thinking in different direction. And that is what is needed for any employer. Even though your past experience could be anything, but ultimately it's your skill set, your knowledge, your understanding about the concepts, understanding about the technology, which can help the company, your employer, or being a consultant analyst can help others. And that is what I believe that companies need. Even though, as I mentioned earlier, many of the companies I did some analysis that when we see the job posting, the title would they will say that they need blockchain engineer, blockchain developer. In fact, many of the job posting, they don't need a developer, they don't need a technical guy. What they need first is a blockchain consultant, a blockchain analyst who understands blockchain technology from the concepts point of view, not from coding point of view. And if you gain that skill and you are able to articulate in your CV, then that is what the companies need. Yeah, John, please go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I think that that's great advice to him. And I like Lindsay just posted certifications in the chat. So she talks about or Coursera, Udemy, Block Geeks, and edX is another way to look at that. So I would just say, and Bobby will also point you to Ledger Academy for really getting those skill sets to demonstrate, regardless of your background, that you have the necessary blockchain background to, be hired by one of these companies we had on the call earlier today, or any one of the other enterprise blockchain companies that are a Hyperledger member. Okay, is there any other question? Look like Kenneth also pointed to MIT has a lot of blockchain classes, and I agree with that, and I've seen a lot posted. And I think we're, go ahead, Bobby.
The one question about how to, the best way to market yourself, we're going to go over that self-branding for a little bit of time in the third session. But I would say that a lot of people now, LinkedIn is the standard for people. If they're interested in what you're up to, they will go to your LinkedIn profile. You should have pictures. It should be informative. It should not just be a blank, screen. You should have a lot of information. When someone goes to that page, sees it for the first time, they should be, wow, look at this person. They have a lot going on. It can be anything from volunteering on a project like the Giving Chain, or even attending a working group and getting involved in a working group. That looks good on your LinkedIn profile. Again, so LinkedIn is definitely a connection vehicle, and the better your LinkedIn profile has, the more information it has, the more recognition you'll get.
Yeah, and I also want to highlight what Daniela talked about at the very beginning here is on LinkedIn, you can go ahead and post where you're looking for certain jobs. So if you set a broad perspective blockchain job search, it will, be able to send you on a regular basis all the great blockchain jobs that are being recruited from on LinkedIn. So that's another great resource.
I have a question here, Kenneth here. Can anyone hear me? Oh,
yeah, we can hear you, Kenneth. Go ahead.
Great, thanks for stating my comment. I wonder, when it comes to Hyperledger and the blockchain, what are the resources to perhaps collaborate for domestic and international projects? We actually have been working on projects in the Caribbean and also in African unions. Do you have any recommendations for collaborations for these sustainable projects? And they are in the areas of fintech and healthcare, and for the most, right? Have you any recommendations for that?
I didn't get your question, John.
Yeah, I think that he's asking about social impact type projects. And I know that there are definitely social impact working groups with Hyperledger, and I could probably pull up and find one of those to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a bit more than social impact. We're actually developing fintech solutions already with some experience working within the healthcare and the fintech sectors using blockchain. So we're looking for real business methods, we're not looking for donation. We're looking for actual projects to use part of the existing resources. We do have about, for example, 6 to 8 blockchain developers already on the African continent, and also in the Caribbean about 2. So we're trying to collaborate and find projects, and also we're providing training for groups, for startup and entrepreneurial groups, and also some government agencies. So that's what's happening this year. So we're looking for resources to logistically put together and to help keep the momentum.
Kenneth, we have pretty strong regional chapters. That might be a good place for you to find, other people that are working on projects and talk about the projects if you're trying to recruit people and support. So I just put the Hyperledger Africa chapter as one of the regional examples. We also have one Latino America. I know that
In Brazil.
Alfonso is here and can probably share some of the work that they're doing. Our goal is to help connect, developers and projects with each other so that you can share and get best practices and kind of get feedback on what you're building out. So do check out our regional chapters. Those tend to be a good place. And as John said, we have a social impact special interest group, also a healthcare special interest group. So very sector specific use cases that we're tackling in those SIGs. And those are all open, for anyone to kind of dig in as they want.
Great, thanks. Yeah. We're Brazil is also another place that we're working on some good catch on that. And
Okay. Can I say so towards that social impact projects, please?
Sure.
My name is Shiromani, and I think I met a gentleman a few years ago in Washington, D.C., and he is well connected in United Nations, and he is working on a social impact project in Africa, which is basically unbanking the banking, banking the unbanking, actually. That's his motto. And he gives how the main reason is how do I give credit to a person who has no identity in Africa, right? So a layman who works just $2 a day, who can give them a credit? So those kind of tasks he has taken, and he is using blockchain as a fundamental identity for those banking the unbanking, and doing a great job. So if you need, he is on my LinkedIn. I can give a pointer towards him. And also, I do know a couple of other projects which is going on the mobile payment section in Africa, as well as in Mauritius and South American countries. So reach out to me.
Yeah, that's great. I'd like to invite them in. We have weekly meetings about startups and entrepreneurship groups and funding in Africa. So they can also invite you or anyone to those meetings as well. I can, if it's okay, can I put my LinkedIn? Can I put my LinkedIn URL in the chat?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah, the one thing I want to also highlight is, and Daniela was way ahead of me on this, is Kiva has done great work with Hyperledger, and they had partnered with Sierra Leone on doing some very much identity and payments in sub-Saharan Africa. So definitely check out Kiva's work, and they're very active in the Hyperledger community as well.
Thanks very much. That's great. Thank you.
And we just this morning, I can't remember, it was in Asia Pacific, we had a session specific to the topic. So I'll try to find that link too.
Good. And I see Alfonso posted about UNICEF innovation. So Alfonso, if you want to take and come off mute and talk a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yes, that's a group of, thank you, John. That's a group at UN that has been doing a lot of research in blockchain and social impact. So for Kenneth, that would be a good way to connect, okay, with a multilateral, okay, besides all the data and all the links that have been provided in this extraordinary meeting. By the way, congratulations to you all for putting it together. Okay.
It's great. Yeah, thank you very much, Nico. I will look at the information, and I have worked at the UN, so I'll reconnect and also try to gather these resources together. Thank you.
Yep, and I'll just call out Mike's other question here about talking about Hyperledger Sawtooth versus Fabric for project development. And I think it depends on your use case. And the great thing about Hyperledger, it's the Hyperledger greenhouse. So there's a lot of relevant projects under the greenhouse that may be perfectly applicable to whatever type of vertical project you're doing. So I would just kind of go through the Hyperledger website and look at the project that's most relevant to your project.
Okay, you guys got me fired up now. Thanks. I have a question. So do you have anything particular towards enforcing ocean sustainability and international waters for policy? Have you seen anything of that nature around?
Can you repeat that?
There is, we're seeking something which is relevant to ocean sustainability and also enforcing international policies for violations using blockchain.
For oceans?
Yes, international
So,
waters.
Mhm. There was a presentation here. I'm going to send you one thing was we had a session around future humanitarian sector use cases, and that should be posted hopefully soon on our YouTube site. But there was, if I recall correctly, there was an ocean plastic recycling solution that was recently presented.
Was that with Borat's? Was that with Borat's project?
This is the one with Wipro, Ocean Plastics. Here, I'll post to it here.
Yeah, there's also one. Are you familiar with the company called the Plastic Bank?
No. Oh, yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, the Plastic Bank definitely has adopted blockchain to really, especially with Haiti. Haiti's been one of their top locations to really, foster recycling of plastic by paying above market rates versus having it go into the ocean. And if you've bought a bottle of Windex recently, you'll see that SC Johnson is actually using recycled plastic for that Windex bottle, and that's due to their collaboration with the Plastic Bank. So they're really doing great work. I know the Plastic Bank team well, and if you need a connection to the Plastic Bank, I'm more than glad to make an introduction.
Yeah, it would be great. Thank you. We just spoke about that this morning, a similar collaboration out in Kenya for running a solution, really for a solution to run to for a plastic recycling collection. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just post my email in here. If anyone wants to follow up after the session, just feel free to reach out to me.
And I will put the slides and the information from the chat up on the website under Opportunity Seekers.
Okay, well, it looks like we've gone past about 2 hours here, which is wonderful. And I think this has been an exceptional session. So I think we're hitting a good place to wrap up here. And so thank everyone. I want to thank you for attending the session today. And definitely take all those great links and information from today's session. Bobby will go ahead and share out any type of slide deck from the presentation, and then we'll look forward to seeing you at the next event. And Bobby, maybe you want to talk about that real quick?
Sure, excuse me, that is the one hosted by Boston and Jim, and we will have it publicized through LinkedIn, through Hyperledger. And I have everyone's name from the participants, and I'm going to try to find you through LinkedIn and connect with you, and then you will get direct emails from this. So also I'll put information control on the website, so you can give me your email through that as well to be posted as to the next events. But the next event is the one in the end of July. And again, it will be posted on the Hyperledger sites and meetup sites. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you John and Danielle and Naresh and Alfonso and Melissa and Eduardo and everyone who contributed today.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks John for organizing and the rest of the team. Yeah.
Thanks, really
Thank
great.
you.
Merci. Thank you.
Have a nice
Yep. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk soon. Take care.
You guys rock. Thank you so much.
Yeah.